All right, welcome back. Over the past year, we've seen the left's obsession with anti-racism. Ben Weingarten wrote this recent op-ed in Newsweek. Anti-racism is racist on its own terms. It details how the so-called anti-racism movement has overtaken much of the federal government, our corporations, and our schools. Ben Weingarten, senior contributor for The Federalist, joins us now to talk about this. He's also the author of American Ingrate. We're also joined by Bruce Lavelle, longtime Trump advisor and executive director for the National Diversity Coalition for Trump. Gentlemen, thank you both so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course, yeah. Ben, we're going to start with you. In your article, you mention anti-racists believe it is wholly justifiable to engage in outright discrimination and bigotry, abrogating rights, treating us as unequal under the law, and rigging opportunities to the extent it advances the cause of equity. Elaborate on this a little bit more, because that's a big statement. It's a good statement.
I appreciate that. And all of this really comes down to trying to mask a radical, racialist, progressive agenda under the guise of being noble, virtuous, and just. And to be a little bit more specific about it, all of wokeism is sort of rooted in the idea that we want to prioritize equity, which is equality of outcomes, basically every aspect of society, people being represented in accordance with their proportion of their group in the population, as opposed to equality of opportunity where we're all treated as equal individuals and respected on the basis of what we all bring to the table. Right. And so the anti-racists call for a radical slew of policies, including being outright anti-capitalistic, of course, defunding, if not abolishing the police, open borders, being anti-school choice, and the like. And they judge policies as either racist or anti-racist on the basis of whether or not they contribute to equity. But the dirty secret is that their entire policy agenda hurts most those who they claim to care about the most. They impoverish and they make less safe and ultimately hurt future generations of the very communities that they claim to care about most under the guise of caring about them. And meanwhile, the elites continue to benefit and essentially rig the game.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you take what I think everybody feels and you put it into words so perfectly. I guess that's why you're a successful writer. I mean, that's very well put. Bruce, what do you make of the term anti-racist?
Well, you know, I always like to take it another step further and put the responsibility back on us, we the people, by the people, Rob. And simply the fact that, you know, it's sad because it seems like our country is still trying to put legislation on the backs of the president, the governor, and our elected officials. And I always said you can't legislate a man's, woman, and heart on cultural reconciliation. Mm-hmm. Cultural reconciliation becomes within the heart of you as the person. Are you challenging yourself to get out of your comfort levels, whether you're black, you're white, you know, or do you go in situations where you might not look like everyone? Are you challenging yourself? This is a dangerous path, and I agree with Mr. Weinberg, because, you know, what happens is when you're looking for government for the solutions, or you're having a particular, quote, woke crowd activism group that's out here trying to be the commander and pulse navigator on the moral compass of where we should be reconciling, is very dangerous and dark path. Sure. And as we, the people, well, we should always want to push back and say, look, let us take care of our community. Let us challenge ourselves. Let's get out of our comfort level. But you can never put it on the backs to try to legislate a man or art on cultural reconciliation.
And Bruce, I want to stay with you for just a quick second and a quick answer on this, but you've had the Democrat mayor, Keisha Lance Bottoms, in Atlanta announcing she's not going to seek re-election. Now, to her credit, for a liberal big city mayor, I didn't think she was that bad. She pushed for $1 million more for the cops amid this 58% spike in homicides over the last year. She called out BLM when they shot and killed a little girl. Why do you think she's quitting the job?
Well, I'm going to push back on that. I lived here for 30 years. Okay. My business is here for 27 years. I'm an employer with employees. I know I was chairman of the seventh largest transit fleet in the country, which was MARTA. You know, I have skin in the game here in Atlanta. And Robin, to be honest with you, she dropped the ball. And she, had it not been for our neighboring sheriffs and the governor and everyone else, all hands on deck, Atlanta would have burned. That's just the facts there. And she allowed the 4-year-old child to be murdered because she didn't push strong enough to stop the autonomous zones, which was on University Boulevard, which was burnt to the ground. I was there the next morning, smelling the charred Wendy's. And she realized that, look, at a 20+% approval rating, and all this baggage and caving to the woke instead of being the mayor of the people, by the people, no matter what creed, wherever you're from, whatever. She realized, like, and watch this, Rob, on your show.
Yep.
Watch where I'm going. This is the first of many mayors that are going to go through the same, as I call it, reformation.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Wow.
I didn't defend her too hard. I said for a Democrat, she wasn't that bad. I live in New York. We've got de Blasio, so anything is better than Bill de Blasio. Yeah. But gentlemen, thank you so much. We're out of time on this, but Bruce Lavelle, Ben Weingarten, gentlemen, thank you so much for the time. Good to see you both.
Yeah.